I thought I would sit down and just talk to you about periods. I want to talk about tracking your cycle naturally. This has been a game changer for me. I have polycystic ovaries. There is a difference between polycystic ovaries and polycystic ovarian syndrome, which I will put on the screen here to make it clear, but I have polycystic ovaries and not polycystic ovarian syndrome. Pretty much, I got told I might have it when I was 17. As time has gone on, I've just sort of pushed my period aside, accepted that it's always going to be a bit off. I'm never really going to be able to know when it's coming. I don't know. I look back and I think, why did I not care? Like, why was I not bothered? I was probably like, yes, not getting my period, like, don't have to deal with that. Then everything changed and I started learning about our periods and kind of like delving into like the spiritual side of it and kind of like really getting back into it and thinking, okay. So in July of 2021, so almost 2 years ago now, I got a boyfriend. Now, I don't know if this is just a crazy coincidence or if there's a reason behind this, but my periods just started rolling on, they started getting very, very consistent. And ever since then, I've been tracking my period, but I've only been tracking it naturally for the past 2 or 3 months. So what I mean by this is, instead of relying on an app to tell me when I'm ovulating and when my period's gonna come and all this stuff, I just assess my body, what's coming out of me for one. That is probably the biggest indicator of how I know where I'm at in my cycle. So what's coming out of you on a daily basis. So I write this down every single day. It's just become a habit now. Also, obviously, mood and energy levels come into it. It's good to write them down and then look back and think, oh, that's why I was feeling that way, because I was in my luteal phase, for example. Another thing you can do is use a thermometer like this, a basal body temperature thermometer. The only reason why I haven't stuck to this yet is because it is so hard to do this accurately. So in order to get an accurate reading, you need to be taking it as soon as you wake up, before you do anything, before you move, before you even like hug your boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever. You literally have to wake up and get your thermometer and put it in your mouth, and you know, it's intense. So for me, I wake up and I don't know what's going on. So it's been very difficult for me to do that. So I've tried to do it. I've tried to do it a few times where I've kind of gotten up for 5 minutes and then I'm like, oh, I need to take my temperature, but then obviously the recording is then wrong. So then when I am taking it at resting, you know, it's just not worth it if you're not getting an accurate reading. So the idea is that your temperature will spike when you ovulate. So the thing is with this, why I don't use this as on its own, is because you can only detect when you've ovulated after it's over. So you'll take your temperature every single day, and then you'll look back at those list of temperatures and you will see a spike in the middle, but you won't necessarily be able to see that spike leading up to it until you've recorded the ones after, if that makes sense. So this is a reason why you can't really use this as a prediction for getting pregnant or not getting pregnant. So natural birth control or trying to conceive, it kind of misses that prime time of when you need to be having sex or not having sex. So the reason why I do this, or try to do this, and hopefully one day we'll get it right and I will actually have an accurate result. So the reason why I personally do this is because I'm just curious to see when that ovulation is happening to a more exact date. So now I'll explain the mucus, the cervical mucus, and why that is more of a strong indicator of which phase of your cycle you are in. If you don't know already, the cervical mucus that comes out of you every day, or I mean, it's different for everyone. This is a disclaimer actually I'm going to make now, is that cervical mucus is different for every single woman, and the types of mucus I'm going to explain today, you might experience completely and you might be like, oh my god, yeah, that's me. Or you might think, well, mine doesn't quite look like that, or mine doesn't quite feel like that, or whatever it is. I am not a representation of every woman in the world, so don't take this as gospel. Don't take this as this is fact, and if yours doesn't look like this, then thinking something's wrong with you. No. It's really about tuning into your body and noticing the different discharge that you get and figuring it out over time. This is a process rather than an instant kind of, oh, now I know everything. It's like you have to record this information day in, day out for a few months to really understand what's going on. So let's start with the first stage of your cycle, the menstrual phase. So obviously in this phase you're bleeding, so discharge is kind of the blood at this point. So you know that you are bleeding when you're bleeding. You know that that is the menstrual phase. That is the only phase that is completely clear to us. So definitely write that down too. Don't leave anything out, even though it might be obvious. Write down, you know, I had my period this day to this day, this is how I felt, blah, 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 blah. So that's the menstrual phase. So once your menstrual phase has ended, what happens is your mucus plug forms. Now, I don't actually know that much about this. I'm still learning, okay? But what I know is the mucus plug forms inside you, which is why you're probably experiencing a bit of a dry few days, maybe even a week after your period, because the mucus that is inside you has turned into a plug. It's not coming out of you. It's stopping the sperm from getting in. So that is an explanation for, you know, not having much discharge after your period and maybe being a bit more dry than usual. So this phase is called the follicular phase, and this is when your ovaries are preparing for ovulation. So if you are noticing that you're quite dry and you're not getting much discharge and it has just been your period, you are now in your follicular phase. Now, the way to decipher that you have now come out of your follicular phase and you're going into your ovulatory phase is when you start experiencing wet discharge. So approaching ovulation, you will start noticing that discharge again. It might start off feeling a bit wet, and then as you get closer to ovulation, you will notice a very sticky kind of egg white like discharge, and you'll be able to stretch it between your fingers like this and it won't break. So this is prime time. This is fertile fluid, okay? This is how you know you're approaching ovulation, and this is the prime time for trying to conceive. This is the most fertile fluid that you will produce during the month. That's just a top tip if you want to get pregnant, or if you don't want to get pregnant. This is when you abstain from sex or you use contraception, because you know this is my fertile window and I need to make sure I don't have a baby. Okay, so then what you'll notice is your discharge will change again. So you've had the egg white discharge. It might be heavy, it might be just a little bit slippery. Like I said, every woman's different. You will see a significant change in the discharge. You no longer have the egg white discharge and it's stretching between your fingers. It's now more of a lotion kind of white texture. It's sort of chalky, like it's not, you can't stretch it. It's kind of minimal. There's not loads of it. And this is when you know you have ovulated. So once the egg white discharge has gone away, ovulation has occurred, and now you're moving into your luteal phase, which is the last phase of your menstrual cycle. And then when you get your period, you're entering a new cycle, and obviously you're bleeding. So those are the 4 stages of your cycle, and those are the different types of discharge that you might experience throughout them all. And then you will know, okay, my follicular phase is this long, my ovulatory phase is this long, my luteal phase is this long, and my periods are this long. So that way you can see in front of you, okay, this is my cycle laid out. Now I can predict which phase I'm in every single month. And then once you got to that stage of like knowing which stage of your cycle you're in, then you can start looking into how to optimize your cycle and eat for your cycle and live for your cycle, which I'm sure I'll make a video on, because I'm honestly just starting out in this journey. I'm not at a stage yet where I'm eating for my cycle very strictly, you know, oh, I'm ovulating, so I'm eating fruits and salads and berries. I'm trying it here and there. When I was in my follicular phase, I looked up, you know, randomly, okay, what should I be eating in my follicular phase? And it said, you know, oats, so I thought I'll have some porridge. So, you know, I do it here and there and I kind of test the waters. You know, I'm just exploring. I'm exploring at the minute. I'm sure I will make a video on eating for your cycle, living for your cycle, you know, scheduling your life around your cycle, stuff like that. But the last thing I want to say is just keep in mind that if your periods are longer, sorry, I keep saying periods, I mean menstrual cycle. If your overall cycle is longer, you kind of can't listen to the general advice of you will ovulate on day 14, because that is generally for women and girls who get their periods every 28 days. But fun fact, I was doing a bit of research and apparently only around 10% of women actually ovulate on day 14. Even if you do have a 28-day cycle, it doesn't necessarily mean you are ovulating on day 14. So this is why it's so interesting and so important to just tune into your own body and see what's coming out of you and see how you're feeling and where your hormones are at, so that you can actually decide for yourself when you're ovulating, because an app won't know when you're ovulating, it's just guessing. The internet doesn't know when you're ovulating, your body knows. So what I'm trying to get at here is that we need to start trusting our bodies more, because they are telling us every single day what is going on inside us, and I find that so fascinating. I can't believe I've only just found out about this, you know. I never really paid attention to my discharge. I just was like, okay, cool, like that happens, and I didn't realize it was my body telling me which stage of my cycle I was at. If you do have a very long cycle and you don't really know why, I would suggest going to the doctors and just exploring that. You know, there's no harm in trying to figure out what's going on in there, and I think it's so important for us to know, because knowledge is power. Also, this works if you have very irregular periods. So let's say 1 month your cycle is 30 days long, the next month it's 40 days, the next month it's 60 days. You know, there's women out there who experience this. This works for you too, because like I said, you're just tracking every single day, okay, what's my body doing? And you will see, once you've tracked it from the first day of your cycle to the last day of your cycle, you will see patterns throughout there, whether your period comes on the same day every month or whether it's all over the place. It doesn't matter, your body is telling you regardless what's going on with it every single day. This is very empowering, because you don't have to rely on the internet, you don't have to rely on apps to tell you when you might be ovulating. You can literally just assess what's going on. I think that's all I had to say. I just needed to get that out. I've been doing this for a while, guys. I just felt like I didn't know enough about it, but after making this video, I'm like, blah, blah. I've got a lot to say. But obviously, if you want me to make a video on the 4 phases of the menstrual cycle, going into depth of what they are and what's going on in that phase, then let me know, and I'd love to make one of those. I'll probably make it regardless of who wants it or not, to be honest, so look out for that video in the near future. Like and subscribe if you want to see more, and also turn on the notification bell so that you never miss when I upload. At the minute, I'm uploading every single Wednesday at 5, so I'll see you next Wednesday at 5. And yeah, thanks for tuning in. If this is the first time you see my face, thank you for taking a moment out of your day to watch me. And yeah, like I said, if you do want to stick around, don't be shy, subscribe, everyone's welcome. Honestly, I am getting better at these outros. I'm getting better. Anyways, I'm gonna go now. I hope this video has been informative. I hope it has inspired you. I hope you feel more in control now of your cycle and you're less worried and concerned. And if you do want to know more, if you do have any questions, please do let me know. Don't be shy. Comment down below and I will reply. I promise. I love replying to you. So yeah, thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.